As we come to the end of another year, we ponder on the many transformative messages that have been brought to us. We are comforted that Christ is the center of our teachings. For the next few weeks, we will revisit Grace of God has appeared and be reminded of what this truly means.
We're going to read from the English Standard Version, Paul's letter to Titus, one of his sons in the gospel. For the grace of God has appeared, bringing salvation for all people, training us to renounce ungodliness and worldly passions, and to live self-controlled, upright, and godly lives in the present age, waiting for our blessed hope, the appearing of the glory of our great God and Savior, Jesus Christ, who gave himself for us to redeem us from all lawlessness and to purify for himself a people for his own possession, who are zealous for good works. The Greek word translated grace in verse 11, for the grace of God has appeared. That word grace, many of you would know that it is the translation of the Greek word charis. It is spelled Charis. It's pronounced charis. In its use among the pagan Greeks, the word charis referred to a favor done by one person for another out of the pure generosity of his or her heart, with no expectation of reward. The Greek philosopher Aristotle, in defining the word charis, emphasized that it is given freely with no expectation of return, and finding its only motive in the bounty and free-heartedness of the giver, giving with no expectation of return. In the New Testament, the word charis refers to God's grace and favor towards mankind in general, or to any individual in particular. So there is a sense, brothers and sisters, in which all of us, every single human being, experiences the grace of God. The air that we breathe, the sunshine and the rain, just God's restraining of evil is his common grace to everybody. But there are some persons to whom he exercises a particular grace, a grace that is saving in its intent. This grace and favor is a free act, totally excluding merit or deserving. The Apostle Paul, in all his letters, sets grace and works against each other in direct contrast, showing that they are mutually exclusive. In all his letters, Paul argues that the essence of grace is that it is unearned and unmerited. So once we talk about grace and talk about deserving in the same breath, we have totally misconstrued what grace is. We have totally misunderstood what grace is. You do not talk about grace and merit or deserving in the same word, in the same breath, in the same context, unless you are showing the radical difference between them. Grace is exemplified in the process of God becoming a man, the process known to us as the incarnation. God becoming a man. That is why persons refer to grace as love that stoops. He came down to my level.
The all-powerful, sovereign God that stoops down to our level. As we recall the magnificence of God's grace and our own undeserving nature, let us rejoice and glorify Him who gives abundantly, regarding nothing but His own unconditional love.